We're going to start now. Sanje che danzo ki chong nam la chang chu bardo dani chap su chi da ke jin so ji pe so nam chi jo la pen chi sanje chu par sho in the Buddha the Dharma the Sangha most excellent I take refuge until enlightenment is reached by the merit of generosity and other good deeds may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. In the Buddha the Dharma the Sangha most excellent I take refuge until enlightenment is reached by the merit of generosity and other good deeds may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. Manam khada nyam pe sem chen tam che de wa ta de we ju da den par ju chi dungal da dungal ji ju da dal war ju chi dungal me pe de wa tam pa da mi dal war ju chi nye rin cha tha ni dan dal we tang nyom chen pe la ne par ju chi. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be set free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the supreme happiness which is without suffering. May they remain in boundless equanimity, free from both attachment to close ones and rejection of others. All right, welcome to our review session. I'm going to put Olga in the channel now. So far there's 4 philosophical systems, four tenet systems within Buddhism. The first one is called Vaibhashika. Somehow I can still hear you. I'm gonna put you again, Olga, okay? Wait. Okay, that should work, hopefully. So we have 4 tenet systems within Buddhism. One is called Vaibhashika. Another one is called Sautrantika. And these 2 are Hinayana. And then there's 2 which are Mahayana, which are Chittamatra and Madhyamaka. Vaibhashikas are called Vaibhashikas because they follow an Abhidharma text called the Mahavibhasa. Sautrantikas are called Sautrantikas because they follow the sutras. Sautra is sutra. Chittamatras are called like that because they assert that mind is primary. Chitta is mind. Matra is only. Madhyamaka are called like that because they are the madhya, the center or the middle between the extremes of existence and non-existence. So these are the 4 philosophical tenets. In English, we say tenet. In Tibetan, it's called Jupta. And in Sanskrit, it's called Siddhanta. Then if you read the file I gave yesterday, that has a short, brief summary of the 4 tenets, the Sanskrit etymology is there. Siddh is completed or accomplished. For example, the Buddha's name, his name is Siddhartha, is he who accomplished his aim. Siddhartha, he accomplished his artha. So Anta means to the end. So the Tibetans translated it precisely meaning Drup is Sid and Anta is Tha in Tibetan. Just so you know what the etymology is, because in English we didn't translate it properly. I don't know about Russian, but basically it means something that you have finished it, you have analyzed to the extreme, to the end. Like you have reached the end of your of what you can think of, something like that. That's what Drupta means. So among these four Druptas, among these four tenet systems, we are now covering the first one, which is called Vaibhashika. In Sanskrit, it's called Vaibhashika. In Tibetan, it's called Chetrakmawa, in case you want to know. Chetrakmawa. In Sanskrit, Vaibhashika, and we are using the Sanskrit. And then we are told that Mipam Rinpoche is telling us in his text that there are 7 aspects that we have to know about the Vaibhashikas, right? So there are Vaibhashika, we're going to learn 7 aspects. And now we are on the first aspect of the Vaibhashikas, which is called the 5 bases of knowable objects. And that's what we're covering. There's 5. So just to summarize, we have 4 tenet systems. Okay. So we're on the first tenet, Vaibhashika. And Vaibhashika has 7 aspects. And we're on the first one. And that first one has 5 parts. Okay. And now out of those 5 parts, we have covered 3 of them so far, which is first is basically form, right? You guys must remember form. Maybe I can share or just a quick review. We have to repeat so it goes into our brain. Form, this is to the first base of knowables is form, and it happens to also match the first skanda, so that's why here is a skanda, but in the context of our conversation is the first basis of knowable objects is form. We have 4 causal and these 4 elements, and these 4 elements give rise to 11 forms. Then yesterday, I think Olga asked me about the sense faculties being material. This kanda is mostly material, except for this form. This 11th one is, we can argue that's not material, but it's still a kind of form, a subtle form, but the rest are all matter. Then I gave the answer here that according to Buddhism, this has a form, but also according to modern science, also is a form. The like our eye, our sense faculty is the actual eye, and like for example, the anatomy of the eye. Maybe I have a picture also. Let me see 1 second. Anyways, I'm going to put this file on the chat, so feel free to. I put it already before, but Ola didn't save it, so I'm putting it for her. 1 second. This is a very nice chart. Now I want to share maybe one more something else. Um, I think it's important to understand this also from the point of view of modern science a little bit, because this is a Buddhist science and modern science match to some extent. They don't perfectly match, but somewhat they match. So this is kind of a funny, this is actually another topic, but here, the main point here is that, I'm gonna show you this. This is the science faculty according to modern science. So that's also why it's material, you know? So according to Buddhism, it has some kind of shape that is described in the Abhidharma text, but the sense faculty is basically the ability of the eye to perceive form. So the way it happens, this is our eye, somehow light is reflected from objects and then it comes into the pupil, somehow is refracted here as chemical signals, and then it goes to the back of the eye. And then on the back of the eye, there are these rods and cones like this. And then this actually transforms the chemical signals into electricity. And then the brain interprets that electricity and we perceive an image. Okay. But according to science, this would be the sense faculty. Okay. So just to go back to our um, other image of form. So that's why the faculties are here, right? So that was the visual faculty I just talked about. And the same follows for all the other 5 faculties. And they each have an object, which that's pretty obvious how it's material. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the first basis of knowledge? I think might be clear by now. The second one is the sense consciousnesses. So I'm wondering if I have a nice picture somewhere of this to show you. Mm, see. Just 1 second. I'm looking through my slides. Okay, I found a good slide here. So we have 6 consciousnesses, but remember that in our other picture we only have 5 because these 5 are no, I'm sorry, there is 6 on the, now we're on the second basis of knowledge, right? The second basis of knowledge are the 6 consciousnesses. Okay, so 6 consciousnesses, we are speaking from Vaibhashika and from Sautrantika point of view. But later, just so you know, when we go to Chittamatra, Chittamatra has 8 consciousnesses. So once we reach Chittamatra, we have 2 more consciousnesses. But for now, don't worry about them. We'll speak about them once we reach. So we have 6 mental consciousnesses. Okay, so you can think of them as refractions of the mind. The mind, um, the mind is refracted in 6 different aspects that can perceive different data, different forms of data. Okay. Any questions about the 6 consciousnesses? No, then guess we are good. And the next is the 51 mental factors. I'm going to upload that on the chat also now. Yes, Eva.
Is it important to know the difference between causal form and resultant form?
I don't. Rinpoche didn't emphasize. I think
Okay.
it's good to know in a sense that it's good to know the principle, you know. For example, I gave the example of my body, how the elements are there, but you have to understand that when it says fire or earth, it doesn't mean actual fire or actual earth. It means a quality, right? It's very similar to Tibetan medicine or Ayurvedic Indian medicine or Chinese medicine. It uses those principles. And also actually in Western, maybe like alchemical traditions and all sciences, they had this concept. It seems like all cultures had this concept, you know. I think just to know the principle is enough. The crucial, to be honest, is to understand for Abhidharma. I mean, Buddhism is very mostly worried about mind. And in this case, this is explaining the process of perception, right? So that is important to know and how these interact. I mentioned yesterday, I just briefly maybe, let me see if I can find a good slide here to show you guys about perception. Then I found a good slide here. This is not, we haven't covered this, so this is just like a little extra information for you guys. So this is according to the Vaibhashikas, perception, this is how it happens. So we have covered the first basis of knowledge, which is the faculty and the object. And we have covered the second basis of knowledge, which is consciousnesses. Okay. So for the Vaibhashikas, this is how perception happens. So the eye sees a form, and then the consciousness arises simultaneously. They all happen in the first moment. Okay. According to Sautrantika, the eye faculty sees the object in the first moment, and then in the second moment, the eye consciousness arises. So they have a slightly different idea, just so you know, Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. Don't worry about this yet, but just know that the systems have slight differences. Okay. For now, Vaibhashika, know that the three arise simultaneously. And so the three, the faculty, the object, and the consciousness, they are an interdependent arising, right? We have to also keep in mind that Buddhism speaks about in dependent arising is the main idea in Buddhism, explained by the Buddha. So perception is also explained as an interdependent or as a dependently arisen process. Is the three elements of perception are dependently arisen. Okay. Now, that being said, I want to show you this other file, which now, so we have covered the first basis of knowledge, which is form. Second basis of knowledge is consciousness. The third one is the 51 mental arisings, right? I uploaded that file, so here is the file. Okay. I just want to emphasize, just so you guys know, this fourth one, contact, is called contact. So what this one is this is actually the contact, means the contact between these three elements: the object, faculty, and consciousness. Okay, that's what contact is. And this is one of the ever-present mental processes, meaning that anything that you are perceiving, these five are always there. Okay, for anything that we perceive according to Buddhist Abhidharma, these five are always present. It makes sense, right? Because contact is happening. I'll just talk about contact now. But remember that there are five always present. Then there are five object ascertaining, meaning that these are not always present, but they arise when we ascertain a particular object. So you can say that we train these in meditation practice, right? This is why this is basically this may seem studying Abhidharma may seem boring for some people because it's just a bunch of lists, but it's very useful for meditation, because if you understand, you're understanding how, in this case, this is the process of perception. If you understand how the process of perception works and how, if you identify these particular mental arisings, right, then you can apply them in meditation. For example, if we're practicing meditation, usually mindfulness is very much emphasized. So mindfulness and also prajna is also emphasized. Okay, so we have to know this. Is very useful to know. It makes a huge difference if you understand this for your meditation practice. Okay, now I will go to our main text that we are using. This is our text. I was looking at the Tibetan text, but unfortunately I couldn't find where we're at, because I'm a little bit confused by the English, to be honest. Just one second. Actually, we're having these forest fires here in Nepal, and the air is really bad right now. Even the sun looks like a little red ball in the sky, because there's so much smog. Anyways, again, we're on Vaibhashikas. We have 7 aspects of Vaibhashika. Amongst the 7 aspects, we are on the first one, which are the 5 objects of knowledge. Okay. Amongst those, we have covered the first one, which is basically basically matter. Okay. Form. Okay. Second one is consciousness, the 6 consciousnesses. Third one is the mental arisings, sometimes called mental factors also. There's something that arise. Actually, it's a very nice model because first there's the object, right? It's telling you there's an object, there's a faculty, then there's a consciousness that perceives, and then based on that contact, mental events happen, right? Mental arisings can happen. So it's telling you how your mind works, basically, right? This is what we're doing. So there is five who are amongst these 51. Five are ever present. Five are object ascertaining. 11 positive ones. Okay, there's 11 positive ones. Six are basic emotions. Actually, these are really important. These are the six. Actually, no, these are not what I was thinking. Sorry. 21 subsidiary emotions. Four variables. You can see this on the list. Well, I don't think we will go in detail because there's just many of them. But oh, actually, I will share after this another text I want to share with you guys. A little bit of Abhidharma list. Uh, there's something that Rinpoche talked about yesterday that he wanted me to cover, but I forget which one it was. Oh, this one I will remember. Okay. There's four variables, and then mind and mental events operate from the same basis. Basis, reference, observable qualities, time, and substance. Let me see if this is in our other list. Yeah, this is not here. I don't know what happened to my screen. Sorry, guys. I'll stop sharing for a second. So I'm going to share something extra on the chat, which is an Abhidharma book that I talked about during our last review session. And it's just a small Abhidharma summary written by Kawa Paltek. Kawa Paltek is one of Guru Rinpoche's disciples and one of the main translators who translated Tibetan Sanskrit into Tibetan. So it's just a few lists of different things. So just for you to read in your free time, if you're interested. In any case, so let me go back to our main text. So up until here, up until these four variables, we finished the 51. Okay. Then yesterday we finished saying that mind and mental events operate on the same basis with the same reference, observable quality, time, and substance. So yesterday Rinpoche emphasized this. He said he will ask this today. So just so you guys know, we have to just keep this one in mind, take a screenshot or make a little note. He will probably ask this today, okay? This is a particular Vaibhashika idea, it seems like. So mind and mental events, or meaning like the consciousness and the mental arisings, operate from the same basis, reference, observable quality, time, and substance. Exactly what that means, I don't know. So I think Rinpoche will elaborate on this later. But basically, we have to know these five, okay? We have to keep these five in mind. I cannot find the Tibetan text, unfortunately, so I only have this poor translation. But I think just keep this in mind for now. So that's how far we did. I mean, unless anybody has any questions, because I think we did a nice review last yesterday. I guess yes, Konstantin.
Я прошу прощения, но мне очень сложно что-то понять. Ну, и вот тема вначале была объяснена, пять определяющих объектов познания. И вот я сумел их как бы вот услышать или записать только три. Ну, третий – это 51 ментальный фактор. А какие из пяти, вот четвертый и пятый?
А мы их не
Чтобы,
проходили.
ну, хоть назвать может он их, то, что в голове каша полная.
Окей. Кончок. Can you please tell us about this 4 and 5 object of knowledge? So now
Yeah.
we covered first 3, yes, but what is the 4 and 5? Just to
Oh,
know.
yeah. I cannot say. Rinpoche asked me not to go ahead, before he says.
Не могу,
Yeah.
потому что Ринпоче говорил не идти вперед, пока он это сам не рассказал.
Yes. Otherwise, I cannot ruin the plot,
Иначе я разрушу картину.
Yeah. Otherwise, maybe I would be
Ой,
teaching you
простите.
about Chitta Matra.
И мне придется учить вас читаматре тогда. В общем.
So he asked me only to speak about whatever we have done so far,
Ринпоче просил меня не забегать вперед и учить только тому, что мы уже прошли.
But since we have a little bit of time, are you guys familiar with the skandhas?
Так у нас есть время. Вы знакомы со скандхами?
Is very similar to the objects of knowledge.
Они очень похожи на вот эти 5 объектов познания.
And actually, it's more common to speak about the skandhas.
И обычно они более известны в плане то, что все говорят о скандхах.
So, just briefly, I want to share with you guys a little bit about the skandhas.
Вкратце я вам расскажу о скандхах.
And I have shared this PDF file on the chat. I highly recommend you download it. It's this book, okay?
Очень рекомендую эту книгу.
And I want to encourage someone to translate this into Russian.
Хочу вас вдохновить, чтобы кто-то перевел это на русский.
It's just a list, basically, with very little explanation. It's very...
Это список терминов.
We will not cover everything here in Longchen Shedra, but it's just good to know in general.
Мы в Лончен Шедре не все будем проходить, но в целом это очень хорошо знать все из них.
Because based on this is like the Buddhist key terminology for speaking about Dharma.
Ключевая буддийская терминология в объяснении дхармы.
This is actually an old book,
Довольно-таки древняя книга.
So there is some explanations and other things, but I'll just briefly...
Объяснения, другие вещи, но вкратце.
Here is like, we have the 5 aggregates, or in Sanskrit they're called skandhas.
5 совокупностей, или на санскрите 5 скандхов.
So again, you see, it's basically the same thing, right? The 4 elements.
Так, тут опять идут у нас сперва 4 элемента.
And then the physical manifestations, which are the 5 faculties, and the
Физические проявления, которые включают 5 органов чувств. Ой, способности органов.
5 objects, and the intangible objects or subtle objects.
Также 5 объектов органов чувств. И 11 это тонкий объект.
Then there is feeling and recognition, which is we haven't covered, so I won't mention. But then the fourth
Дальше у нас есть чувство, распознавание.
the fourth skandha is the
Четвертая
51.
скандха — это вот 51 фактор.
So again, here is listed again.
Снова есть весь этот список из 51 фактора.
And then it's just a list of the 51, and it explains a little bit what each one is.
Немного объяснения о каждом из факторов.
And sorry, I'm trying to find the next skandha. Oh, here is the last skandha. So, like I said, this is according to Yogacara. So to Chitta Matra, but don't worry. For now, we only worry about 6.
Для читамат.
So we have 6
У
consciousnesses.
нас сейчас 6 сознаний, в соответствии с читаматрой 8 их. Ну, то есть мы проходили вот 6 из них в Вайбхашике.
So this PDF is on the chat, so you can download it, and in your free time you can read.
Вы можете загрузить, и когда у вас будет свободное время, прочитать.
So I'm not. I'll just repeat this because since Rinpoche said he will ask, I want to make sure you guys get it.
Просто повторяю это, потому что Ринпоче просил.
So the first basis of knowledge is form.
Первый объект познания — это форма.
The second are the consciousnesses.
Второе — это сознание.
The fourth is the 51 mental arisings.
Третье — это 51 ментальный фактор.
And at the end, mind and mental events operate from the
Затем
same.
ум и как-то ментальные события, умственные
He will
события.
ask. He said he will ask this, so you have to know these 5, okay? Basis,
Вы должны знать эти 5.
reference,
Это основа определения.
observable quality,
5 — это
time,
время,
and substance.
субстанция. But what is this 5 altogether? How we
It
can...
says it says that they operate with the same. To be honest, I don't know exactly what Rinpoche wants us to understand. So today he will elaborate on this. But so he said he will wanted us to know this. This is a particular thing of Vaibhashika.
Ну, я просто задала вопрос, что эти 5, что они себя представляют, ну, как бы, как их
So just keep
назвать, но он сказал, что Ринпоче нам это объяснит вот на этом занятии. Просто это является одной из особенностей Вайбхашики. Вот.
So just keep this in mind. The mind and the mental events, or the consciousness and the mental arisings, they operate from the same 5 things. These 5.
Просто запомните, что вот эти вот 3, когда встречаются, да, когда мы говорили, они имеют вот этих вот 5 общих, как бы общих основ. Ну, 5 вещей. Они основываются на вот этих вот 5 вещах, которые мы будем проходить.
Okay. So I want to keep this review session short because I think it's better when we have session right after Rinpoche finishes or question and answer because the information is fresh, I think.
Честно говоря, я бы хотел делать вот такие обзорные сессии сразу после того, как Ринпоче заканчивает занятие, потому что тогда для нас эта информация еще остается свежей.
But do you have any questions about these three so far? The first three? Yes. Eva.
Есть ли у вас вопросы?
I have a question on the first three mental events, mental arising.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The third one is the mental arisings. Yeah. Usually we translate as mental factors.
Мгм.
Yes.
Ментальные факторы, третье. Мы так их переводим обычно. Ну или
So,
умственные события еще вот там вот, если дословно.
yep. So, any other questions about these three so far?
Может, еще какие-то вопросы именно по поводу вот первых 3?
Mhm.
Первых 3
Um,
объектов познания, которые мы прошли.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's okay. We can take a break and then we'll see you guys in a couple of hours, I guess, or after 1 hour or so. Yes, Eva.
Will you ask in detail about the 51 mental arisings, or only is it necessary to know the number?
No, just know that they are. Rinpoche said he wanted us to know that the first 5 are ever present. The second 5 are the object ascertaining, and then the next. I think you can go through the list and then
Срочек.
the. Oh, sorry.
Да, но спросила она, но надо знать, что просто есть 51 ментальный фактор или подробно их все знать. И Кончок говорит, что хотя бы вот эти вот, как сказать, подразделения, да, то, что там есть 5 таких, 6 таких. Мгм.
So I gave you this text by Kawa Pelcek because it has a little bit more of an explanation there also. If you want to read what each one is, you know.
Кончок, can you please show us English text, the last sentence that you say Rinpoche will explain today about
Yes,
these 5, you know?
this one. It's at the end of it lists the 51, and then after the last one of the 51 is the 4 variables. And then
Мгм.
afterwards it says mind and mental events operate the same 5 points.
М. Мгм. Окей.
Okay. And Konstantin?
Да, Оля, у меня такой вопрос. Можно вот объяснить вот саму тему вот эту, вот эти 5 объектов познания, что вообще это такое и почему это не так называется, 5 объектов познания. То есть, ну, суть вот этой темы в том, что как вот воспринимается, ну, умом, да, наподобие как 5 сканх – это то, что формирует эго. А тут почему объект? Объект – это же нечто внешнее, вот, ну, как стоит перед тобой, да. Ну, а почему объекты, ну, вот это название чего-то, относящегося к тому, что формирует ум, вот, это называется объектом, как некий предмет, что ли. Ну, это звучит как 5 предметов познания, да, каких-то внешних. Вот, как это понять? Можно об этом рассказать еще, что несет вот это 5 вот этих аспектов, вот, и для чего они нужны? Вот такой вот вопрос.
Ну, у нас в русском тексте 5 основ познаваемого, но все равно это как внешний объект, да? Kanchok, can you please explain when we say about these 5 objects of knowledge? Yes, why
Mhm.
we, how to say, why we learn them, and it looks like they are outer. It's something outer, you know, not inner, but it's like object. I don't know how
Yes,
to say.
so actually the Tibetan term is Yul.
Тибетский термин юла или юна.
Maybe I can show you the dictionary because we translate them as objects, but maybe it's not exactly an object.
Мы так переводим как объекты, но не совсем объекты.
Actually, it's not. The actual word is sheja. Let me.
In Russian also he translate like base of what we know.
Yeah,
Or
actually, it's a basis. Exactly. It's a. Let me think. What is the Tibetan? Jijaje. Ji. See if I can find it in the dictionary. Sheja Jija, I
Ну
think.
да, на основу познаваемого больше похоже.
Oh, I found it. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. So this is a dictionary definition.
Это вот определение из словаря.
It's 5 bases of knowables, or 5 foundations of the knowable, or 5 bases of knowledge.
Угу. Ну, 5 вот основ познаваемого. Не знаю, как перевести еще.
So,
Да.
I mean, it doesn't say much,
Да,
but
тут вот basis of nobles. 5 основ познаваемого.
yeah, I guess it doesn't say much. But the reason we're studying this is because this in Buddhism, the like Sheja, She is knowing, Ja is almost that which is to be known. So in order to analyze reality, we have to first ascertain what we're analyzing.
Угу. Ну, почему мы это изучаем? Это вот шеджа, то есть есть познание, есть то, что мы должны узнать. И с точки зрения буддийской философии мы сперва должны установить, что же мы изучаем, собственно говоря.
So for meditation practice, you have to understand the distinction between your different sense fields, right?
В медитации вы должны знать разницу между как бы полями органов чувств.
Then how, based on those sense fields, there's objects that are picked up by the faculty, and then there's a particular aspect of mind, which is a particular consciousness that perceives, that knows that object, right?
Ну, в зависимости от этих вот, как это сказать, в зависимости от этого у нас есть также разные объекты, воспринимаемые разными функциями наших органов чувств, и есть различные сознания органов чувств, которые
So
воспринимают эти объекты.
that's the first two, right? There's an object, a faculty are the first one, then the consciousness is there, which is the next one, and then from that interaction, some kind of mental event also happens, right? Which is the third one.
Мгм. И получается, что у нас есть вот этот вот внешний объект, есть функции органа чувств, есть сознание, и когда они все коммуницируют, то возникает, ментальные факторы возникают.
We can say that in Buddhism, the main teaching is cause and effect, or we can also say the main teaching is dependent arising.
Можно сказать, что в буддизме основное учение это учение о причинах и следствиях, либо о взаимозависимом возникновении.
So this is based on this, we are studying the different elements that are the dependent arising of perception, of how we perceive the world.
И благодаря этому мы изучаем вот это вот взаимозависимое возникновение того, как возникает наше восприятие.
So based on this, understanding this, then we can see what's happening. And then, for example, if to this system we learn the 4 types of mind. You guys remember?
И далее мы, как бы основываясь на том, что, то есть вот это, изучая это, мы понимаем, что происходит, да, как оно происходит, и основываясь на этом, у нас возникает 4 типа ума. Помните, мы их изучали? Ну, вот это вот.
Just as a refresher, I know you all remember, but as a
Я
refresher,
знаю, что наши знают, знаете их, но вот чтобы их освежить, то есть возникает у нас 4 типа ума.
the 4, I mean, they can be subdivided into 7, but let's just say there's 4.
Они могут на 7 быть разделены, но мы сейчас про 4 скажем.
So these are subjective aspects of how this is how the mind is ascertaining the object, you know.
Это то, как ум определяет объект.
So everything we're doing is to understand how we perceive and how to perceive correctly.
Все, что мы делаем, для того, чтобы понять, как мы воспринимаем и является ли наше восприятие корректным, правильным.
And to understand reality, because, for example, if you understand the 51 mental processes,
Для того, чтобы понять реальность. И, например, вы понимаете, знаете этот 51 ментальный фактор.
for example, you see there's 5 that are always present, right?
Вот, например, вы знаете, что есть 5, которые всегда присутствуют в уме.
So, for example, these 5, whatever, now because we have studied this, we understand whatever object we perceive, 5 will always be there, correct?
И мы изучили уже, что бы мы ни воспринимали, мы знаем, что вот есть 5 ментальных факторов, которые всегда присутствуют в уме.
These 5, right? So I explained the 4th one. I told you is the contact between these 3 object, faculty and consciousness, right?
Вот 4 из них я вам объясняла. Это контакт между объектом, чувством и сознанием.
Then you can understand that if you want to meditate, you can apply particular aspiration, admiration. There is more explanation in that book. So we have to cultivate these ones. We have to cultivate faith. And so we begin to recognize this is a map, right? So based on this map, we begin to analyze our experience and we recognize what is arising.
И медитируя, когда мы медитируем, мы можем распознавать, какие у нас в уме, помимо вот этих 5, возникают сопутствующие ментальные факторы. И для нас это как карта. Мы можем понимать, что у нас возникает в уме. И далее мы можем какие-то из этих аспектов культивировать, какие-то нет.
I mean, especially these 2 are very important. For example, like you begin to see if that object is attachment arising or anger arising. So based on that, you can apply the antidote. So
Ну, вот это, например, также является очень важным, когда мы знаем, что какой-то объект вызывает у нас гнев или привязанность, мы можем применить какие-то противоядия.
that's why we study them.
Вот для этого мы сейчас их изучаем.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Понятно?
Any other question?
Кость, понятно?
Да, сейчас стало немножко понятно, спасибо.
Yes, now a little bit more I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a map basically. It's like based on this. So the idea of studying Dharma becomes the. You can translate this actually first.
Ну, это карта, и идея в изучении дхармы в том, что
So the Dharma is the tool that we use to analyze,
то есть сама дхарма, она является методом для анализа.
and it also becomes the object that we analyze as well.
И также и сама по себе она тоже является объектом анализа.
So based on this, we are studying, so we understand how the mind works. This is what we're learning, how the mind works.
Основываясь на ней, мы изучаем то, как работает ум. Вот
So
сейчас
then
мы
when you're meditating or in your daily life, you look at, oh, what is arising in my mind? What is happening? How are my senses working?
И в медитации вы можете увидеть, как работает ваш ум, что в нем возникает, как работают ваши органы чувств.
For example, if you understand what mindfulness is,
Например, если вы понимаете, что такое внимательность,
I mean, there are no definitions here, but we should take time and study at least some of them, like the most important ones. I think mindfulness is one important one.
здесь нет определений, но нам надо потратить время и как бы найти определения и изучить их.
The definition of mindfulness is the ability. It has kind of two things, two parts.
И определение внимательности включает две части.
So that which distinguishes the object and that which allows you to remain with the object.
Первое – это как бы разделение. Вы выделяете объект, а второе – вы можете на нем оставаться, концентрироваться.
I have a
Оставаться.
short presentation also.
У меня также есть небольшая презентация.
So mindfulness basically anyway, so these are the 51 in a kind of a number way. So 5 omnipresent, 5 object determining, 11, etc. These are the 51.
Здесь вот на этом слайде все 51 разбитые по группам. 5 всегда присутствующих, 5 определяющих объект, 11 добродетельных факторов, 6 коренных, эмоций и так далее.
So here are some definitions of mindfulness.
Здесь определение внимательности.
Not forgetting the focused object.
Это не забывание объекта, фокусированности на объекте.
Not forgetting a familiarized entity.
Не забывать его сущность.
Anyways, they're basically the same. So this author Bernstein, he calls it mental glue.
Ментальным клеем это называется.
So mindfulness, if you understand what mindfulness is that which allows you to remain with the object undistractedly, right? That's why it's so important for meditation.
Ну, то есть внимательность или осознанность, она позволяет вам оставаться, как бы концентрироваться на объекте. Самое
So
главное.
basically we are learning this vocabulary, right?
Обычно мы учим этот словарь.
Like in the future, if you read a text on meditation,
И мы on text, sorry, what way?
if you read, like, I don't know, if you pick up a meditation manual, some kind of meditation text,
Окей. И если вы прочтете какую-нибудь инструкцию по тому, как надо медитировать,
the text will tell you, apply the faculty of mindfulness to the object.
а текст вам скажет, примените способность как бы вот этой вот осознавать объект.
So you understand, for example, if the object is the breath,
Например, если объектом является дыхание,
the breath is actually part of, sorry, can you see my screen?
yes.
I cannot see. Somehow I cannot see. Sorry, guys. I have to
Can
do
you
it
see?
again.
The part of air element.
Actually, no, it's a part of
No?
that's why I wanted to show you guys. Somehow it's blocking my.
We can see it. We can see.
Yeah, anyways, I cannot see somehow, but it's a part of the a tactile. It's a tactile sensation.
Итак, дыхание – это часть ощущений.
Yes, it is connected to the air element, but in this case, in the context, if you're say you're focusing on you're doing mindfulness of the breath,
Ну да, это, конечно, связано с элементом воздуха, но если мы говорим о фокусировании на дыхании,
so then you understand that the object is the physical sensation of the breath. For example, touching here,
то объектом является физическое ощущение дыхания, например, прикосновение воздуха под носом.
and to that you apply mindfulness, which is that mental glue, that continuity, right?
И к этому вы применяете внимательность, которая является вот этим вот ментальным клеем, который схватывает как бы продолжительное время.
So that's what this is. This is a map of the mind in that sense.
Ну, вот с этой точки зрения, то, что мы изучаем, это карта ума.
Okay.
Окей.
All right. So I guess we can say if you have more questions after Rinpoche's session, I'll stay and we can talk a little bit more and then we'll cover whatever. Okay.
Ну, если у вас есть вопросы, то после сессии с Ринпоче я останусь и немножко мы пообщаемся еще.
So please keep this download, whatever is on the chat, download this text, keep them with you.
И вот эти вот тексты, которые вы загрузили, пожалуйста, пусть они будут у вас.
Now I'll just briefly say our dedications. Sonam Digi Tamje Sipani, Tomne Nipe, Janam Pamche, Nichiga, Nachi, Balon, Pai, Sipe, Sole, Jowa, Shok, Chanchup, Sencho, Rinpoche, Mache, Panam, Jurichi, Japan, Parme, Payan, Gongne, Gongdu, Pelwa, Show. Okay, I'll see you guys shortly.
Окей. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Увидимся. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.